Some people think that anyone exhibiting bizarre behavior could have been bewitched, cursed, or even possessed by some evil spirits. But this is not the case. This could be somebody suffering from a mental illness. And because of our attitudes as a society, some of these people walk around not able to be diagnosed and managed as should be. In fact, the World Health Organization puts the number of adult Kenyans with a diagnosable and manageable mental illness as 1 in every 4 adults. This translates to about 10 or 12 million Kenyans. In this episode of Health Digest, we talk to a parent whose son was diagnosed with schizophrenia. We'll talk to a patient who had bipolar mood disorder, and finally, the specialists who manage mental illness.
Basically, mental illness is a wide range. They vary from mood disorders, a change in mood, to anxiety disorders where people are extremely nervous, or the ones we call psychotic disorders. And those are the ones society seems to be more aware about. But we also have personality disorders. So there are a wide range of things that you can look out for.
They think that maybe their loved one has been bewitched. Most of the time they come saying they have been wamerogwa.
The grandma will call me at times and tell me he has refused to go to school. So I thought it is indiscipline. At times I will be called and told he went to school in wet clothes. All this I thought was indiscipline. So the day I took action is the day I was told he did not come back home. And it took like 4 days. We were looking for him up and down here in Nairobi. He did not come back home. So when we found him, actually, after punishment, we took him back to the same school.
Did you punish him for being lost for 4 days?
For being lost and just loitering. We took it like loitering. He was just loitering in the estate, walking for no apparent reason. And we did later on discover that he will walk, and where darkness finds him, he sleeps. By the time he got to class 8, now he could not sit in one class the whole day. He will sit in this class. After break, he will not go back to his desk. He will go to another class, another room, different rooms. And the teachers will take him back to his room forcefully, you see. We still took this as all as indiscipline because he was a very good artist. He can draw you the way you are sitting till you think it's a picture. He was a gifted artist. And even writing, he was very good in writing when they will sit to write. So we knew he's a bright child. He has no problem. When I brought him to stay with me, and I started noticing funny things, funny behaviors. Like he will sleep late, he will talk in the night, and then when I asked him, whom are you talking to? He will keep quiet. I started like, I've never seen such kind of behaviors. Even in schools where I teach children, I've never seen. So one day, he jumped from the 2nd floor to the ground floor, and then he ran away. So, you know, he ran away with a limping leg. I followed him, I could not trace him. He went to a church for refuge there. So that church, they took him to the hospital. When they took him to the hospital, now at that point, that is where the first time I heard of he has mental problems. I don't know, it's called schizophrenia. I had never heard of such a thing, even such sickness in my life. I left that place denying that is not true. I did not take any treatment or any prescription. So I stayed with him. He did KCPE. When he did KCPE, he did not pass. He failed. But we, as a family, we agreed let him just go to high school. And he went to high school. Now from one, things became worse. Do you know he walked from Outer Ring up to Parklands on foot? And when he reached Parklands, there's a Naivas somewhere around there. Parklands, Westlands, there's a Naivas supermarket around there. At the entrance of the supermarket, he slept there, and he was rained on terribly. So the police on patrol found him, and they took him to the police station.
Even after the doctor talking to you, why was it difficult for you to?
It was so difficult to me, and I remember that night I cried almost the whole night. Then I said, no, this boy is gifted. This boy, anything he will touch it to a level that even myself I cannot. Even if it is making a bed, the way we will make a bed, even myself I cannot. We would even make fun of him. I remember in the house, my brother, I used to live with my small brother and my sister. They would make fun of him like he makes for everybody their bed. Because he will do it in a way that nobody will do like that in the house. If you will wash a sufuria, you leave the sufurias and the kitchen sparkling. So I will add up all these things, and I said, no, it is not true.
One of the characteristic things is a change in behavior of that person. For instance, in the mood disorders, somebody who was previously outgoing, talking to people, engaged in society, enjoyed life generally, suddenly they start seeming to be very low, want to be isolated, they do no longer enjoy activities they used to enjoy. That tends to point towards someone who is depressed. Somebody who may have anxiety may just simply present with nervousness, simple things. They're easily startled by something very simple. They're always on edge. They're not able to sleep. They lose sleep over very small things that they cannot even put their finger on. That is somebody who may have an anxiety disorder. And we have people who even have things that we call phobia. Phobia is also a mental illness. They are afraid of specific things or events or activities. When it comes to the psychotic illnesses, you'll find people now tend now to be on the other end, where they will not be themselves. They may forget to take care of their personal grooming. They may sometimes talk to themselves. They may act bizarre. They may become violent occasionally. And these are now the people now, a lot of people in society identify as mentally ill.
So I took him to the rehabilitation center. I explained to those people everything. And they said maybe he tested drugs that affected his brain. We asked him, he cannot accept. He refused. So I left him there. He stayed at the rehabilitation center for 1 year. And we will visit him after monthly, 2 weeks, fortnight, like that. For a whole year, then he left the rehabilitation. After rehabilitation, he was good. He was calm for like 2 months. After 2 months, now it was worse. It was worse. It was worse as in, one day, he left home and he did not come back. Then we wondered, we said, did this boy get into these groups of boys who drink? We went to all those groups, we looked for him, he was not there. Next thing that he started doing that now made me come here, 2 things actually. First thing, now he started like, if there's a funeral here, he would stay in that funeral till people bury. Then he moves to the next place where there's a funeral. He will not come home. He was going from home to home, living in funerals. I said, no, that is not normal. Now I started accepting. I started remembering what the first doctor told me. Now I started remembering. I started having flashbacks, saying, it can be true. There's a mental problem here. One day, he said he wants to wash his clothes alone. He took all the clothes and went to wash them. I don't know, he threw all the clothes and he came back naked. And it was comfortable. Everybody's running away to get him something to cover himself. Now there, I started saying something is amiss.
Another thing that could point that somebody is suffering from a mental illness is also they try to self-medicate. And you'll find people who are suffering from mental illness may tend to use drugs or alcohol as self-medicating per se, because maybe when they take those drugs, they dampen them, they reduce the symptoms they were suffering from. So those are just a few of the symptoms, but look out for behavior change, change of eating habits, sleep pattern, and generally even how they relate with others in society and how they perform at work or in school.
The worst thing that happened, he went to visit an uncle, a family friend, and he has a class 1 girl. So he started seeing like this class 1 girl is his wife. He was beaten almost to death. I was called when I went, I could not identify him. He was beaten almost to death. So my brother told me, what you do, don't take that boy anywhere. Take that boy to Madari. I only see Madari when I pass by Thika Road. And that place, I cannot imagine. I can never enter that compound. My brother told me, come, we'll go. The sisters told me when they saw him, they said, you can save the life of this boy. In fact, I remember that sister asking me, how much do they need? Can you call and find out? And I called somebody here at Madari and told me admission is 20,000. and test and all that and all that. All I don't know was adding up to 30 something. Sister gave me all that cash.
If you're not aware that this person is mentally ill, you'll not be able to help them. So once you observe that a person seems to have a problem, it's good to just listen to them and find out if there's an underlying cause. And when you identify that indeed this person is suffering with an illness, send them to a specialist, because a family member may not be able to handle a mental illness, but at home, you need to be empathetic with this person and understand that they are not pretending, because some people think this guy just has a bad habit. No, so they mistreat them, ignore them. Yeah, they become, yes, exactly. So they turn into other, very negative ways of managing their illness. So that isolation by the family drives the person deeper and deeper into the mental illness and probably into another person. So families need to embrace that persons suffering from mental illness need to be taken. The same way if you had somebody suffer from diabetes in your family, you will not ignore and tell them that they are a bother. You need to support them to seek help, and even when they are on treatment, you support them until they are done with their treatment process. For most of the people, the treatment will be a long-term process. So you need to be with them every step of the way and learn to identify signs that say this person might be relapsing, this person is not taking their medication, so I need to support them to continue taking their medication, etc.
It was thin, because at that time, by the time that I was bringing him here, he would refuse to eat, he would refuse to bathe, and he would not sleep. At night when we are sleeping, he's out. When I ask him, why can't you come to the house and sleep? It says the house is burning. There's fire burning in that house, I cannot sleep. When he looks at me as the mother, he's not seeing me as the mother. In fact, he denied me in the hospital here for almost 1 year that I am not his mother. He only knew my uncle. All of us, he would refuse that. He doesn't know us. We are strangers to him. So you see, such things, it was really dawning on me that how can he say I'm not his mother? Even the doctor, I remember asking him one day, who is this who has brought for you lunch? Simjui, I don't know him. She's not your mother. No, she's not my mother. Where is your mother? My mother is in the village. And I'm standing there. I even saw the doctor like she wanted to shed tears. He will even refuse the food that I have brought.
For mental illness treatment, it doesn't have to be an inpatient. It depends on the severity. Only very severe cases and persons who need to be observed on a daily basis by healthcare workers are the ones we will recommend inpatient treatment, or if the form of treatment needed, even if the symptoms are not severe, requires direct observation. So there is outpatient treatment and inpatient treatment, and the patient actually works on a treatment plan with their therapist, the doctor, the counselor, the social worker, on which best suits their condition, of course with the involvement of the family.
NHIF saved us because he stayed here for a long time. The bill was so high. It is NHIF that paid. Mpaka nilijua, I knew NHIF can really help. I had been paying NHIF for many years. I didn't know one day it will help me. It really helped me. By the time he was now like 3 months here, I had started seeing change. He was polite. At least you could talk, you could have some even 5 minutes moment, you share stories. Hata kama ni stories azingiani, but at least some stories. You can talk to him. After like 2 months, you will now start saying, bring for me chips for lunch tomorrow. Bring for me some chicken for lunch tomorrow. Which, even if I will cook at home, when I will feel like this boy is hungry, he will not eat. And then slowly by slowly, when he will come, we will not find him naked. The first times when he was in the ward, he was just walking naked, and it's nothing. My sisters, in fact, one of my sisters came to visit him once and said she will never come to Mathare again.
What did they do for him at the hospital that changed him?
The hospital here, I realized the nurses, in fact, I don't know whether that is what they learn. I don't know whether it's a call or they are gifted. They are very patient. They are very patient, and they know how to talk to them. Things that if you tell him at home to do, he would not do at all. Here, if he was told to do, he does. without complaining, without refusing. And they are very loving. And then the medication really works. It really works. Still, I really feel for people who cannot access this medication.
Treatment of mental health takes, we call it the biopsychosocial approach. There is the medical component where there will be medication prescribed to help deal with the symptoms and the underlying cause. There is a psychological approach. They need a lot of counseling, psychoeducation, psychotherapy, and even some of them will need even training on skills. Then there's a social aspect where now it involves reintegrating them back to society. Some people may have lost even their ability to cope in families. So the social aspect now involves rehabilitating this person to be able to function well in society. So those are a range of services that are available to deal with mental health issues.
You had taken him to a previous facility for 1 year for rehabilitation. Do you think that probably had you come to Mathare directly for him to get help by a mental specialist, he would have been different?
He would have been. Imagine he would have been. He would have been. I really regret even the money that I paid there. I wasted the money there. I wasted.
Is it that you didn't know that
I didn't know here? Because when I took him there like we were treating in discipline.
From your experience, do you think people know about mental health? Initially, you thought your son was being an errant child, he had indiscipline.
Yes.
Do you think people know much about mental health?
I don't think so, because the first thing with mental health, most parents, including myself, I did not accept. The first doctor that talked to me, I looked at him like, what are you telling me? What is this man saying? I could not add up anything he was telling me, and I left that place and I didn't do anything he told me to do at all. I left everything he told me in that room. I refused. So the main problem is people deny. They do not act immediately. Because I remember the first time we came here, the doctor told me, Mom, why didn't you start early? But anyway, better late than never. You see, till I felt guilty. I really felt painful in my heart. Till I said, God, please help me with this guilt.
Well, in our society in general, we have both negative and positive perceptions, but it seems the negative perceptions tend to carry the day. And there are a lot of myths that people carry in the society, and their understanding of mental health is quite skewed. People think when you have a mental health problem, it's when you have completely lost it and you can no longer be able to take care of yourself, go about your activities of daily living, or you're somebody who is not even able to connect with society. Whilst there are a range of mental health issues that people struggle with on a day-to-day basis, even when they are dealing with their normal life. And you'll find that these might even be the majority of the persons who are suffering from mental health issues. So because of the negative perception of mental health and the stigma surrounding it, you find that a lot of people now will not seek treatment. They will seek other means to try and address this concerns or these struggles.
During this time, did you at any one point blame yourself or anyone else for what your son was going through, what he was facing? All this time when he had all these experiences, he's running away. Did you at any one point probably blame somebody else or blame yourself for what he was going through?
I really did, and I think I blamed myself so many times. I blamed myself so many times because the grandmothers loved him. So when they asked to stay with him, I said yes. So most of the time, he spent with the grandparents.
We are hiding your identity as we do this story. Why is there still stigma around mental illness?
There is stigma, honestly, to be honest with you. In fact, even now, some people, even in the family line, don't know that I come to Mathare with this boy. He's on medication. Some even didn't know all that period he was in the ward. I kept it to myself because people look at you like, in fact, most people in the society, they will blame you as the mother. Where did you get such a child? Where did such a child come from? You see, such kind of questions. You cannot face people to explain. What are the roots of the family?
Society somehow want to hide behind and say there's no mental illness in our family, there's no mental illness in our society. So there's an element of the stigma bites people a lot, all right? So they don't want to come out. Secondly, it's the lack of awareness and knowledge. Some people simply don't think depression is an illness, the ignorance. They just think it's something will slip over it and you get over it over time. So the lack of awareness, and of course the fact that people assume a mental illness will not kill you, so they don't think it's as serious as the non-communicable diseases or the other diseases.
Why do you think we still have stigma around mental health and mental illness, that most of society still sees mental illness as something that's really bad, and they even associate anything negative with mental illness? They have we have really negative connotations on mental illness. Why do you think this is the case?
I think it's because of the symptoms of the disease, because of those bizarre behaviors. Because mostly these are patients who will do anything, anywhere. They don't care about anybody. They even remove clothes, they strip off, they beat other people. They just do bizarre behavior. So people would not like to be associated with such. And that's why you see, even when they come here, there are those cases that are abandoned completely by their relatives, and they disown them. And that's a big problem here, because now it's bringing congestion in the hospital. Now, like a ward like this one, you have a bed capacity of 40. And you find that we have 62 patients. Now that means even the beddings will not be enough, the beds will not be enough. You find them sleeping on the floor. And that one makes our work hard as nurses.
How we as a society view mental illness has a direct impact on how we handle people with mental illness. On that note, Health Digest takes a short break.